the Care and Protection of Older Members of Society Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2018. The Treaty Making and Ratification Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 23 of 2018, is also active in the House, and this particular bill is on the second reading. The last time it was debated was Tuesday, 20th November 2018. The Local Content Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of 2018, is yet to be moved and debated for the second reading. This particular bill is courtesy of the Senator for Baringo County, Senator Gideon Moy. The Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 24 of 2018, is also in the order of business this afternoon, and this is supposed to be debated for the second reading, as well as the County Law Compliance and Enforcement Bill, Senate Bills number 25 of 2018, courtesy of Senator George Kaniri of Vihiga, and the County Early Childhood Education Bill, Senate Bills number 26 of 2018. The Preservation of Human Dignity and Enforcement of Economic and Social Rights Bill, Senate Bills number 27 of 2018, is also scheduled for debate for the second reading, and the County Oversight and Accountability Bill, Senate Bills number 28 of 2018, is also in the order of business this afternoon for the second reading. This plus other businesses will be transacted this afternoon. There are three motions, one by the Chairperson, Sessional Committee on County Public Accounts and Investment Committee, and the other one by the Senator Abishiro Halake. If you're just joining us, we are waiting for business of the House to commence this afternoon, and on your screen the senators are walking in readiness for the business which will be transacted this afternoon. The broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. It is a broadcast available on Senate TV as well as KBC Channel 1. You can also stream this broadcast on YouTube.
Honorable Senators, Mr. Speaker.
The Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Kenneth Lusaka.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings us, your servants whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberations in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of visiting members and staff from the County Assembly of Kisumu. I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. They are Honorable Inviolata Adhiambo, Chairperson Committee on Delegated Legislation; Honorable Aslam Khan, Member; Honorable Augustine V. Otura, member. Honorable Beatrice P. Ocheng, member. Honorable Karen J. Ogwok, member. Honorable Johnson Guya, member. Honorable Nancy A. Awiti, member. Honorable Olga A. Otieno, member. Honorable Samson O. Ameso, member. Honorable Seth Okumu, member. Honorable George Ogutu, member. Honorable Joseph Olale, member. Honorable Abil Nyasuna, member. Honorable Kennedy Ogengo, member. Honorable John Munuche, member. Mr. David Ocheng, committee clerk. Mr. Silas Kapesa, sergeant at arms. Ms. Josephine Amondi, welfare. Mr. Fanuel Okode, Hansard. In our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Senator Outa Otieno. Fred.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to join you to welcome the honorable members and the staff of the great county, the city county of Kisumu. Honorable members, this afternoon, I am delighted that we have great honorable members of Kisumu County. These honorable members are here to learn and to be able to be effective as people who are representing the people of Kisumu County in various matters, especially the oversight. Mr. Speaker, previously had discussed with our clerk of the Senate that in the near future, we, the County of Kisumu, will be able to put aside a certain amount of money, and we are requesting the Senate to also support the capacity building of our honorable members of Kisumu. This is something that we need to strengthen the counties so that they can have the right, the right tools of doing the oversight and how to handle the matters that comes before them. And we have seen that their mandate is just as what we are doing here at the Senate. And therefore, all these transferable concepts, we want to equip them so that they can protect the people who they are presenting, especially in Kisumu County, to be able to do an oversight of the executive, and that's the governor and his office. One thing that I want to encourage them, that their work is not to be on behalf of the executive, but to be able to stand firm and be able to protect all that equitable shares that we bring to the counties. And that is to make sure that each and every penny that comes to the county of Kisumu must be accounted. And that will require enough courage, people who understand what they are doing, and be able to put the county government at task whenever and wherever they misappropriate the funds. And I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this great opportunity to have the honorable members from the Kisumu County.
Senator Rose Nyamunga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. May I also take this opportunity to welcome the honorable members from the great county of Kisumu. Feel most welcome. Mine is just to add briefly, Mr. Speaker, that the responsibility that is bestowed upon the county members of assembly is so enormous, and it is very important that they get capacity built so that the work is done in a proper manner. And we do not want to encourage a reactive way of doing oversight, but we want them to be proactive, to be able to identify the difficulties or areas of problems before they come up, because normally it takes a very long time before we get the auditor's report. Like right now, you know very well that we are dealing with the report of 2014, 2015. So there's a lapse of almost 3 years here. So it is very important that we capacity build our members of the county assembly so that they are in a position to take care, to be proactive in the way they do things. And secondly, counties are dealing with a lot of money. We are talking about billions of Kenya shillings. So we know that there's a lot of corruption that has been devolved to the county units. So if our members of the county assembly are properly trained and they know their responsibility well, we should be able to make sure that the common people benefit from the resources that are allocated to the counties. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and may the members feel most welcome.
Senator Zani Agnes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I also join you in welcoming the delegation from Kisumu County. It's really a pleasure to have you in the Senate this afternoon, just to see how we work in the Senate as we look after the interests of those in the counties. As you might have had a chance to look at your order papers, just to get a highlight of many of the issues that we've been dealing with. By yesterday afternoon, we were dealing with private-public partnerships and the dynamics of making those partnerships within the counties and the need for involvement through visibility studies and through projects. We're also looking at the local content bill later on in the afternoon, the urban areas and cities. I think on the floor of the House, we also started debating the Treaty Making and Ratification Amendment Bill, which are all very, very critical. We're also listening to various petitions. All this is really to work in sync with the county assemblies so that we are able to, one, identify some of the pertinent issues and make legislation which can be cascaded to the county assemblies. And you might be able to take this legislation and contextualize it within your counties and be able to run the road of ensuring that the development that is so sought after through devolution is actually achieved. Mr. Speaker, the members who are here run a very important program in their counties because they're the representatives of the people. And Kenyans are really looking forward to seeing that the social and economic rights that should be unleashed through devolution really does happen. And I know we're doing the second round of devolution. We've had lessons learned in the first round of devolution. This is the second round. And as we wish them well, we also wish ourselves well, that together we can actually unlock the potential of these counties, which is what all Kenyans really are looking forward to seeing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mbogo George Ochilo Ayako, Migori.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to welcome the distinguished delegation from Kisumu County. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank this particular delegation for visiting Migori when I was looking for votes. They were quite useful, they were quite orderly, and they were able to immensely contribute to my being elected. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome them to this august house. Now, Mr. Speaker, I want just to say that the work that our colleagues at the County Assembly do is very important. It is the foundation of oversight. If they do it well, and we as senators build upon what they do, I believe this county, this country, and this nation is going to move by leaps and bounds towards good governance. I want to conclude by congratulating them and congratulating the members of Senate from Kisumu, both Senator Rose Nyamunga and Senator Uta, for undertaking to give them capacity building. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Haniri George, Vihiga.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I wasn't going to speak until I heard that it's a delegation from Kisumu. Kisumu County, Mr. Speaker, as you know, borders my county. I'm bordered by Kisumu, Kakamega, Nandi, and Siaya. Mr. Speaker, Kisumu is a county led by Professor Nyang' Nyong'o, who was our colleague in the last Senate, a man I have immense respect for, a man that I know has great ideas. I know he will take the county to the next level. But that's not to say that you should not give him oversight. You must make sure that you oversight him properly. You know, for devolution to succeed, the county assemblies are an integral part. Without you, you are our first line of defense. All these resources going to the counties. We heavily rely on you to ensure that governors are put to account and their governments to ensure that these resources do benefit the people in the counties. So I just want to join the Speaker and the senators who have spoken before me in welcoming you and thanking you for using this facility of benchmarking. The best practices can be learned here. This is your big brother. We want to partner with you to ensure that devolution actually succeeds and benefits the people of the counties. I welcome you and wish you a fruitful stay in Nairobi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Pareno Judith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am happy to join you to welcome the honorable members from Kisumu. And I tell you that you've chosen the right path by coming to benchmark and do some capacity building from the Senate. I'm sure you learn a lot that will take forward the county of Kisumu. You have a very able senator in this house, Senator Outa. I'm one person who is really proud to have him as a senator and a colleague here, really representing you well. And we hope that you'll be able to carry home some good experiences from the Senate. I join to welcome you, and you're welcome.
Senator Kilonzo Mutula Jr., Makueni.
Thank you, Andrew Jane, Speaker. I wasn't going to speak, but after Senator Vihiga spoke, I thought I should inform the members from Kisumu that please advise the people of Vihiga and Kisumu not to fight. We have passed the county boundaries bill. Please pass through the general office, collect the bill. We have now set up a method for all of you to live peacefully at Maseno University so that you don't fight. We have passed the county revenue allocation. Please look at it together with the public-private partnership. I'm aware of discussions in Kisumu County about doing private partnership on cold storage on fish. This is one of those methods where Kisumu can make money. And I'm aware that Kisumu is one of those counties that has pioneered on revenue collection. So we thank you. But we want the good professor to be oversighted well without impeaching your speaker if you don't have to. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Honorable Senators, I hereby report to the Senate that a petition has been submitted to the clerk by residents of Mwatate constituency in Taita Taveta County. As you are aware, under Article 119(1) of the Constitution, and I quote, every person has a right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including enacting, amending, or repealing any legislation. Honorable Senators, the salient issues raised in this petition, said petition are: 1, that the residents of Mwatate constituency claim to be the bona fide owners of all the land known as Mugeno Grazers in Taita Taveta County. 2, that the land was under the custody of the then Taita Taveta Council and is now held by Taita Taveta County government on behalf of the residents of Mwatate. And 3, that part of the land has since been invaded by illegal settlers who have been gradually extending the land occupied, yet the people of Mwatate have not been consulted or involved throughout the process. 4, the petitioner therefore prays that the Senate, A, assist in the gazettement of Mugeno Grazers Integrated Management Committee members for easier management of the parcel of land. B, directs that the national government carry out survey and registration on Mugeno community land and use and issue title deeds for the parcel of land. And C, directs that the title deeds issued to the illegal settlers be revoked and the land reverted back to the people of Mwatate who are the rightful owners of the land. And 5, Honorable Senator, who are the rightful owners of the land. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 231, I shall now allow comments, observations, or clarifications in relation to the petition for not more than 30 minutes. Senator Mwaruma Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to stand and support the petition by the people of Mwatate, which is a sub-county in Taita Taveta. It is true, Mr. Speaker, that there is a lot of land that seems to be idle. It is in form of grazing land and ranches. This particular case I have tried to pursue unceasingly through the Ministry of Lands and the relevant authorities, but it seems it is not.
If this land was reserved aside, kept aside for the purpose of grazing, Mr. Speaker, it is important for that land to have been preserved so that animals do not decide to attack the residents around because of climate change. Because when animals attack residents, they're looking for food, and their land has been grabbed. Mr. Speaker, there's need for the Senate to really act with speed and ensure that this issue is sorted out, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that we need to really ensure that justice prevails, that even the original owners of this land are given back their land. And Mr. Speaker, there's even need to investigate how did this act begin? Who in the office of the lands was involved in this act? To the extent that title deeds were given. And if the title deeds were given, were they fake title deeds or are they genuine title deeds? And if they're fake title deeds, Mr. Speaker, whoever signed the title deeds should be brought to book so that he answers how, what circumstances led him into signing. Mr. Speaker, many instances the vulnerable have issues. You find that someone will come with a lot of money, grab public land. This should not be the case, Mr. Speaker. Let us see how to help these residents of Mwatate so that they get their land back and they'll actually count on the senators having intervened with the issue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cheriot Aaron. Okay. Senator Pareno Judith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this petition, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I urge that the committee that is going to, if you are going to refer this to a committee, then they should do really thorough investigations and be able to make very strong recommendations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I say this because when this debate started, I think somebody somewhere is making people believe that grazing land is actually idle land. I want to say that the fact that it is called grazing land in itself shows that this land has real business. Mr. Speaker, our grazing lands are not idle land. It is actually community land. We use it for purposes of our animals, and it is in itself self-defeating to call it idle land, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we should not have people invading land just because they believe that because it is communal land, because there is no particular title other than maybe the community title land, then they should imagine that it is idle and they should invade it, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what we do as pastoralists, because I'm talking from the point of view that I am one of the pastoralists, and I actually live in a community land called Maroro Mashuru Group Ranch, which is over 70,000 acres of land. Up to today, it's not been subdivided. It's still in process over 10 years over 10 years in process of subdivision. But Mr. Speaker, our land is never idle. We use it for grazing, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, if we hear people invading people's land, or other counties, or two counties fighting over rights of a particular communal land, Mr. Speaker, it worries because land clashes are very not good for us. We should be able to bring our communities together. They should live in cohesion. Mr. Speaker, as pastoralists, when we decide to move our animals, we actually normally go and seek for permission to graze these animals from wherever we are moving. We keep moving from one place to another, not because we like it, but because of the droughts that we suffer in this country. So I urge those that are moving to these lands, I urge the Kambas and the Mwatates to consult, to be able to live in harmony, to share this grassland that God gives, because somehow we are not able to provide grass for ourselves. It is only God that is able to provide. And for them, it should be a business of a brother or a sister helping another brother or a sister, not a business of them fighting over this communal land, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue is, if we divide this land, are we dividing to the right people? We have had pieces of communal land being subdivided and land grabbers coming in to grab instead of the land going back to the community. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge that we treat this urgently as it deserves, but be able to also ensure that the real owners, those that were meant to be in that communal land, be the beneficiaries at the end of the day. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wambua Enoch.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to add my voice to this petition. I want to begin, Mr. Speaker, by congratulating the people of Mwatate through my brother, Senator Maruma, for bringing this petition to the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by saying that, as my colleagues have stated, land issues are very emotive issues, Mr. Speaker, and if they are not properly handled, they will explode into violence. I like what Senator Maruma said, that the people of Taita Taveta are not warlike people. But, Mr. Speaker, I would want to urge that neighboring communities and people invading the land belonging to the people of Mwatate in Taita Taveta must not be encouraged to take advantage of the peaceful nature of the people of Taita Taveta. Because, Mr. Speaker, I would want to urge that the committee that this petition will be forwarded to for action, without diluting the import of the petition by the people of Mwatate, to try and consolidate these issues, because in so many parts of this country, we are having similar situations and similar problems of people just invading land that is supposed to be ranch land, settling on it, and through the backdoor processing title deeds to that land. The Speaker, I am in full support of this petition from the people of Mwatate, and it is my hope that those people will get justice through the Senate. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Imana Malaki.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the chance to contribute to this petition that has been given by Honorable Maruma on behalf of his own people. Land is an emotive issue, as Honorable Enoch Wambua said, and land is where people live, is where they grow crops, is where they graze their livestock. So for other communities from outside to come and invade other people's lands and grab other people's lands is not fair, because somebody somewhere needs land to live. Somebody somewhere needs land to grow their crops. When that land is grabbed, then now those people are left destitute and helpless. Where do they go? The issue of land is a painful issue because it's found in many places of this country. Boundary issues abound a lot in this country. So I think the Senate, as a body that can actually create peace between people, should look into this matter, into the fact that people should respect other people's boundaries, and people should respect other people's lands, because those particular individuals also need those lands to live. When you grab them, you leave them without any form of help. So for the people of Taita Taveta, whose lands are being grabbed, and somebody says those are idle lands, that is not really true. That is the same thing with Maasai lands. That's the same thing with Turkana lands. These lands are not idle, as some people say. These lands have their purposes and have their owners. For that reason, I think that the Senate should support this petition and should bring peace and happiness to the people of Taita Taveta, and I beg support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Lastly, Senator Boy Issa Juma Kwale.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwanza natoa kongole kwa Senator Mwaruma kuleta petition hii katika Senate. Mheshimiwa Spika,
let's consult in low tones. Senator wako.
Mheshimiwa Spika, swala la ardhi ni sugu sana katika nchi hii yetu ya Kenya. Na haswa watu wa Taita hivi sasa wajue kwamba hili swala limeletwa katika Senate. Sisi kama maseneta hapa, mimi kwa niaba ya watu wa Kwale ambao Taita sisi ni jirani, Taita Taveta na Kwale tumekuwa jirani, naomba Mheshimiwa Spika hili swala liweze kushughulikiwa kwa haraka sana. Na hata ukitoa mwelekeo kutatua swala hili, ningeomba Mheshimiwa Spika wahusika au kamati ambayo itahusika katika swala hili waende katika nyanjani kwenye hizo ardhi. Sio washughulikie hilo jambo tukiwa hapa. Hapana, ni watoke waende katika hizo ardhi, wahakikishe wasikize wananchi wa Taita Taveta, na hakika wananchi wa Taita Taveta watapata haki yao. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na naunga mkono hoja hili.
Okay, order members. So honorable senators, pursuant to Standing Order 2321, the petition stands committed to the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources. In terms of Standing Order 2322, the committee is required in not more than 60 days from the time of reading the prayer to respond to the petitioners by way of report addressed to the petitioners and laid on the table of the Senate. I thank you. Next order. Okay, honorable members, for the convenience of the House, I want to rearrange the order paper. And I want us to go to order number 7, statements.
Order number 7, statements.
Senator Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I read the statement, I would wish to say that health is a devolved function. And I think it is really important for the Senate to be on top of things in terms of health function or health sector. And secondly, there are various initiatives that have been put in place by the government in terms of providing proper what are you saying? Mr. Speaker, Let me read the statement because I'm told that I should read first the statement. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Orders 48.1, I rise to seek statement from the Standing Committee on Health on the policy and implementation of universal health care in the counties. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, the ministry should explain why the Senate input in the formulation and approval of the healthcare in the counties was not taken into consideration. Number two, explain why the Senate has not been involved in the entire exercise of planning for universal healthcare. Number three, avail detail of the agreement that was entered between Ministry of Health and county governments regarding the health package in terms of medical list equipments. Number four, explain the variation in the figures for the payment of the equipments from the initial figure to the current figures that the counties are paying. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, explain what policy, legal and regulatory framework governed the Ministry of Health in contracting the 3 companies through NHIF to offer universal health care in 4 counties and provide the contractual agreement between the companies and the Ministry of Health. Mr. Speaker, let me reiterate again, Senate is supposed to protect the interest of the counties. But unfortunately, in the matter of universal health care, where 4 counties are involved, that is Isiolo, Machakos, Kisumu, and Nyeri are involved in the pilot project, Mr. Speaker. The 4 senators are not even aware of what is happening on the ground, Mr. Speaker. And I don't think even whether the committee is aware of what is happening. And yet the ministry is going around launching the project in those counties without the Senate involved. And Mr. Speaker, that doesn't mean that we are against universal health care. We support the project. But it is really important to have a legal framework on how this project is being launched so that the project goes on without any problem. Mr. Speaker, as far as medical equipments are concerned, which I believe most of the counties have issues, Mr. Speaker, there are variations in figures from 95 million to 200 million, Mr. Speaker. And this has not been explained to the counties. The other day, Nyamira County appeared before a Public Accounts Committee, and they told us they don't even know what they have been procured, because they are doing procurement without involving them. Secondly, they are paying for equipments that have not been delivered up to now. And yet, the figures have moved from 95 million to 200 million. And clearly, that is across the board, all the counties. If the counties are all paying 200, how did they come up with a figure of a flat rate for all the counties? And yet, the demand and need of the counties are totally different, Mr. Speaker. The other point I wanted to raise is, according to me, the rate charged on these figures are exaggerated as per the market rate, Mr. Speaker. And this has to be explained by the Ministry of Health. And again, there is no disclosure, because we requested Governor Nyamira, and I'm sure the Senator Nyamira is here, to give us the copy of the agreement, and he said he doesn't have, he will have to look for it. And I think the ministry should be able to provide all this information. Mr. Speaker, there is no proper adequate consultation in terms of how those equipments are procured. And I think that has to be explained properly to the senators and the procedures used in terms of coming up with those figures. Cost of repairs of those equipments, Mr. Speaker. Initially, what we knew is that maintenance costs and the repairs were supposed to be part of the agreement. But right now, the counties are taking that burden of ensuring that those equipments are working and the maintenance and everything. And that has to be explained by the ministry why the change of plan. Mr. Speaker, if you look at some of the counties where those equipments are delivered, some equipments are just lying there without experts running those equipments. And those equipments, if they are run properly, if they are managed properly, I'm sure they will be able to help Kenyans who are suffering, who are paying money from their pockets, who are actually traveling all the way from those counties to come to Kenyatta Hospital.
What is your point of intervention, Senator Pareno?
Mr. Speaker, I stand to be guided on whether this is in order, whether you can read your statement and debate it at the same time.
I'm sure she was just elaborating the key issues, but keep it short.
Mr. Speaker, I think Senator Pareno needs to look at the current standing orders it allows. And secondly, I'm just elaborating on my statement. Yeah? Finally, Mr. Speaker, if I may finish. Those equipments, they are really underutilized. And that should not be the case, Mr. Speaker. So I think it's really important for the ministry to explain to the senators how they are running those equipments and the kind of contract they have entered into, and also the universal health care, the legal framework and all that, so that the Senate will be on board in terms of its oversight role. I thank you.
Senator Murkomen, Onesimus Kipchumba, Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I want to congratulate Senator Fatuma Dulo and Deputy Majority Leader for coming up with this very important statement, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this statement is long overdue. The most devolved sector under the Constitution is the health sector. And Mr. Speaker, what concerns me most is this issue of leasing of equipment. Because, Mr. Speaker, there was protracted negotiations, there were fights between county government and national government. We were assured that this will facilitate universal health care and access to health facilities and services at the local level, and we appreciate
to speak for ourselves. We should be able to see what was signed and what is the benefit of leasing this equipment and putting the burden on the county governments. Speaker, I do support the idea, and I want to support Senator Dulo for this, and I want to thank you.
Very well. Every senator who gets opportunity to speak will have no more than 3 minutes, except the Leader of Minority, whom I'll give a maximum of 5 minutes. Leader of Minority.
Yeah, I want to appreciate the Deputy Majority Leader for requesting for this statement. But in so requesting, Mr. Speaker, and when you make your directions, I think the relevant committee, this is work really cut up for you. And if you don't do it to our expectations, then we'll call into question whether you really appreciate the role of the Senate. Because, you know, the governors and the national government, when they are cozy on many other issues, they don't need the Senate. But when the problems, you know, begin to hit them, either side, then they remember there is a Senate. So these questions that have been put across by Senator Dulo, I think they are so important. And looking at the constitutional arrangement, there is no other sector which is devolved really more than the health sector. I think only second to agriculture. So I would hope that the committee will do a thorough job. But I think I am attracted to what the distinguished senator from Bungoma was saying, that we probably need to call the Minister for Health to appear before, you know, a committee of the whole, formal proceedings. Because, you know, probably if it's just the committee, they may not take this matter as seriously as it should. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I hope that the committee's work will be time-bound they will not have forever to carry out this work. Probably within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think a report should be available. But more importantly, as we go back to our counties, there is no question I face on a regular basis more than the issues that relate to health. And therefore, I hope, and I'm looking at the chairman of the committee, that this is really work cut out for you. And we expect results, and the results should come as quickly as possible. I'm saying that with the absolute respect to the speaker, because the directions will depend on what you say eventually. But if it is not the Committee of Health, then whoever is going to deal with it must give us a report that is worth, and responding to the questions which Senator Dulo has raised. I think they're quite fundamental. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Leader of Minority. I will give 3 minutes to Senator Michael Mbito, Trans Nzoia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. Let me congratulate Senator Dulo for raising this very, very important matter, a matter that touches on UHC, one of the key pillars of the presidential, one of the 4 pillars. And Mr. Speaker, this is an issue that the committee has engaged the Cabinet Secretary on. We have raised those issues, and one thing that we have noted is that Senate has been excluded in all the arrangements pertaining to UHC. We've made that complaint directly to the Cabinet Secretary, who apologized and promised to involve us, but continues to avoid us completely. I wouldn't want to repeat what Senator Dulo has raised, but there's a matter that also needs very, very urgent attention of this House. When we summoned the CS to our committee, she told us that they have been going on with plans for the UHC, and in those plans, it included several legislative amendments to the health laws. These amendments have been taken to the National Assembly. Nobody has involved the Senate in seeking advice on what amendments will be required. And there's even word that they are planning to sneak it directly for presidential assent. So I'm urging the Speaker to ensure that whatever amendments are being made at the county, at the National Assembly.
Order, Senator Yako, I hope you're going to take tea. We are about to carry out a division. I urge your senators to remain in the chamber, but you can walk out briefly if you must.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Chairman, are you responding to the statement, or what are you doing?
I'm actually contributing to
so what
Senator
are you saying?
Dulo's point.
What are you saying?
I'm actually requesting the House to assist the committee, because like legislative amendments being done at the National Assembly,
you are unable to deal with the issue, Chair. That's what you are telling the House.
I'm unable to force the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, to bring the amendments to us, because there's a story that they want to take it directly to presidential assent. Yeah.
So but you've just said that the Senate has been sidelined by the ministry. Why has the Senate been sidelined by the ministry while you're there and your committee?
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have engaged the Cabinet Secretary on this matter, and we have invited her to come to this House on the 27th, that is on Tuesday next week. She'll appear before all of us, and I urge each and every senator to be here on Tuesday the 27th and ensure that all these questions that have been raised will be posed to her.
Has she confirmed?
She has, the letter went out, and when we met her, she confirmed she'll
Order,
be coming.
Senator. Order.
Yeah.
All right. That's okay. That's okay, Chair. We'll revert to you. The House will help you. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
Mr. Speaker, I think you should take the cue from the chairman. Please help this committee. I have no problem with them, but I think this is a matter that has gone beyond their jurisdiction. The cabinet secretary must be summoned here by you, the speaker. Issue that summon. That lady should sit here. We don't want stories. The documents that Senator Wetangula is talking about, and I'm told and I'm aware that there are 3 sets of contracts, Mr. Speaker, must be tabled at the Senate. Number 2, I'm aware that only one governor refused to sign, Governor Bomet. The rest signed under duress. Let's say these things as they are. I have raised a statement in this Senate in 2015. I have tabled the equipment that came to Makueni last year. Nothing has happened. This is a scandal. Let's call it what it is. Senator Fogisha has said it's a duck. It smells like a duck, but it's worse than a duck. This matter is a scandal. Mr. Speaker, 200 million this year. For the next 5 years, it will be 1 billion shillings. Every count, including Lamu and Makueni. And this is a lease. How do you lease equipment like you are buying? More expensive than leasing. When you lease a car, you return it. When you lease equipment, it's as if you are buying. We know that this was done by one person in the ministry. That cabinet secretary will be named here. We know what he did. Bring this matter here. But let's help Senator Mbito and his committee. They can't handle this. This thing is too hot. We want everybody to come here, and we deal with them here. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, we are aware there are some counties that have never received that equipment. But if, Mr. Speaker, we deal with this issue without the documents, without the memorandums that COG tabled before the ministry, Mr. Speaker, this is not going to be, we are not going to resolve this. Lastly, the most interesting thing about this leasing equipment, Speaker, is this. When you lease your car, the nice car you have, from any dealer, you don't pay for its repair in advance. This is the only contract I have seen on a lease where you pay for repairs, you anticipate it's going to break down. And then you pay in advance. The variation from 94 to 100, I am aware of these stories. They are as ridiculous as it comes. They were supposed to do what is called e-medicine. It was supposed to be an IT solution so that you connect these machines to the hospitals. But when you go to Wajir, Masabit, and a county like Makueni, and one hospital is in one end of Mtito Andei, and the other one is in Wote, and you say, please connect them IT, and the cost is 100 million this year, and 500 million for the next subsequent years, this is a scandal. Please, order, make that order. Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Aaron Cheriot. Thank you, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this matter stinks to the high heavens. It is unfortunate that as a House, we have beaten around the bush.
Order, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Order. Proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying for a long time, we have played and fiddled around this matter. Because if you read the last 2 committee reports of the Committee of Finance, we have raised our concerns about this particular issue. But unfortunately, this House, sometimes I think we also need to save Senate from ourselves, the senators. Because we are not so keen at how we do our work. We started raising this matter more than 2 years ago, but up to date, nothing has been done. That is why I agree, and I see the wisdom in the proposal by Senator Wetangula, that this matter should be canvassed at a committee of the whole, so that all the 67 senators of this House
can get a chance to question the cabinet secretary and the council of governors as well. I do not buy this story where we are being told that governors signed under duress. Let them show us the video clip where guns were held to their heads for them to sign. It's a fake story. Let them come and say, you have been elected as a governor of a county. 1 million people have put their lives into your hands and given you executive power. You cannot just come back and say, I signed it under duress. You know, Mr. Speaker, I think time has come for us to show whether we are real as the proper upper house in this country as we pride ourselves, or we just want to be like some infamous colleagues of ours who are rumored to have taken some money somewhere. If we do not resolve this issue, I dare say, Mr. Speaker, this house will never redeem itself in any other matter forthwith. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I kindly join my colleagues who are requesting. I do not even want to go to the details about how this is a scandal and whatever. I just have one plea. Bring the minister and the governors before a committee of the whole. After all, Article 189(4) gives us the powers to arbitrate where there is dispute between national and county governments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Aaron Cheriot. Senator Enoch Wambua, Kitui County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice to this conversation. Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by saying that it is only in Kenya where the value of medical equipment appreciates with the passage of time. I've never seen this happen anywhere in this world where you lease equipment at X amount of money, and the next year, the value for that equipment is X plus 2, and the following year is X times 3. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the argument that governors were forced to sign this agreement flies in the face of reality, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I do understand that every county government pays 200 million shillings for this equipment every year, and that the money is deducted at source, so that governors do not even have an opportunity to decide whether to pay or not to pay. Mr. Speaker, I want to say and join my colleagues in saying that this matter is probably, in all due respect to the Committee on Health, this matter is probably bigger than the Committee of Health. Mr. Speaker, this matter is a matter that the entire Senate needs to be seized of, and as Senator Cheriot is suggesting, let us have the minister in charge of health in the national government, and the 47 governors in this country appear before the Committee of the Whole House of the Senate and answer to questions on this matter, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Abshiro Olake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me the opportunity, and let me congratulate my senator for bringing this all-important statement to the House, even though, unfortunately, under the new standing orders, I'm not sure we will get proper execution of it, and I hope that then we depart from the provisions of that to get to really deal with this very well. But as I stand, I think as we blame everybody else, I think we also should apportion some blame on ourselves as senators. We've been here before, and the number one tool of below optimal expenditure or below optimal performance, I think, is the budget. And I know Senator Wetangula at one point brought a statement before this House
Order. Senator Abshiro is not here, so she forgoes 2 minutes that were remaining. Senator Mahmoud.
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me also thank Senator Dulo for bringing this very important request.
And
for
be
the
brief,
statement.
we are waiting for numbers to fill up and then we vote.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think health is one of the most important sector in this country, and UHC is one thing which in Kenya we need to achieve. Mr. Speaker, sir, as far as the leasing equipment is concerned, we in the Finance Committee actually have been having difficulties because, as mentioned by the other colleagues, the figure was 4.5 billion initially. It went to 6.1 billion in 2017-18, and 9.4 billion to 2018-19, in 2019-18, which translates to 200 million shillings per county. So, Speaker, sir, while you see Kenya, is very diverse, Lamu County is not the same as Nakuru County, but the equipment is supposed to be the same. Then you're supposed to have, 2 hospitals in every county. But when you go to the counties, I went personally to Mandera Hospital and Elwak Hospital, and the equipment are not all there. Some which are there are not connected. In fact, people don't know what they are for. The infrastructure in the counties are not similar also. I think there's a serious problem in the way this equipment is managed and how it's paid for. I'm happy that the senators asked for that question. I think we must engage the Ministry of Health to actually tell us what is involved in this equipment, and going forward, how much is left to pay. Just because I don't think it's a PPP issue, because first of all, you have not leased the equipment, you have actually bought them. You have bought the equipment, you are paying for them, so unless you will chukua deni kidogo. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, it's a very serious matter. I think we need to be given the answers. Going forward, in the next budget, when it comes, we in the committee will want to refuse actually to put that money in the budget. I think it will not, maybe if we don't get any proper explanation between now and then there's no reason for that money to be again deducted from the counties as is being done now. So, Speaker, sir, I support the request for the statement. I thank you.
Thank you. Senator Wako. 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. This is a matter of life and death. It concerns the lives of the good citizens of Kenya. It concerns the health function which has been devolved. And Mr. Speaker, sir, although devolved, this particular agreement, and I believe maybe at that time the government was acting in good faith, the national government, to assist the county governments in performing their duties and functions under the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, sir, the agreement itself, I believe very few people have seen the agreement. And for those who have seen it, it's very much skewed against the county governments, to the extent now where they are paying amounts of money which have not, some of them have not even been incurred, because the equipment is not being used, some have not been delivered, and so on. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a matter that has gone beyond, to me, beyond the Health Committee. The Health Committee cannot of itself deal with this very matter which touches on each and every county. And each and every county is paying on services that they have not received. At the time, Mr. Speaker, sir, when we are saying that the county governments are not getting a fair share of the national cake to enable them to perform their functions, the amount of money they get is only enough to pay salaries, but not perform functions. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have heard from the chairman of the Budget Committee. We have heard from the others who have gone into this matter. I very much doubt, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the Health Committee itself, on its own, can perform what we want to have. We want a bigger committee beyond. And Mr. Speaker, sir, my worry is that this is not the only thing that is happening. Now, we have an organization called Living Good, which is being used by the government to for the universal health care program throughout the county. And from what you know about this particular organization, it is just there to more or less exploit the good people of Kenya in the same way that these leasing agreements have been done. And time has now come when we must stop this type of shameful scandals within the Ministry of Health. So my appeal, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that this matter be referred to the committee of the whole House, and that you sit there and that we really delve into this matter. The governors must be called, the original agreement must be tabled so that we can now go to the bottom of this matter and put an end once and for all. In the meantime, Mr. Speaker, sir, all payments, the government should stop.
1 minute for Senator Wako.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we go into this matter, the government should not debit the county government with even a single cent more until we have delved into this matter carefully. Because everything is a waste of money, and that's a useful money that should go to assist the people, our poor people in the county, and for the county to perform its duties under the devolved government. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Ali Wajia. And Senator Ali, you had also another statement. You
Yes,
can
sir.
also allude to it because
Thank
we
you.
don't have time, but it's on file.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank Senator Dulo for bringing this statement. As a committee, we have tried our best, but we have been overwhelmed. I think we just have to say the truth, and we will appreciate the support of the House. Mr. Speaker, sir, we've even asked questions from the minister and even including the contracts. And the answer they're telling us is that they have brought those contracts when they have not really brought them. And they claim they have given us, and they have not given us anything. Mr. Speaker, sir, if these equipments can be deducted from the monies of the counties without asking the county government, Mr. Speaker, sir, why can't, in somewhere like Wajir now, the hospitals have no drugs totally. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order, senators, order. Order. Order, senators.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in Wajir right now, in some hospitals in Wajir, there are not even cotton wools for deliveries, for patients who go to deliver in the hospitals. They cannot get even cotton wools, Mr. Speaker. And here we are being told money is being spent from 4.5 to 6.4 to 9.4 billion. Where does that money go when the counties are not given enough money? A county like Wajir, which has a problem and their development funds has been stopped, cannot get money. Why can't this government allow the controller of budget to deduct those monies the way they are deducting these other monies so that our counties get medicines as well, Mr. Speaker, sir? Mr. Speaker, sir, we have summoned and talked to the minister concerned about these issues, and forget about answering our questions. They lie to us, claiming that they have brought us the contract when they have not even given us anything up to this time. So I don't know whether it is appropriate for the House committee of the whole House, or we have a retreat where people hit one another proper, Mr. Speaker, sir. I don't know which is better, so that all governors also attend and they are able to say what they want there. Mr. Speaker, sir, we support this statement and we want these answers, and I want to assure the House that the members of this committee have had enough problems with this cabinet secretary. She's not responding to our queries. She's not helping us solve our problems. And one thing we have to know is that health is devolved, but we are not involved in that aspect. So what this committee should do, we should get all the money at the national level to go to the counties. They should not be keeping the money for the devolved function at the headquarters.
Order, senators. Order, senators. Order. Order, senators. We have overspent our time on statements. Therefore, before I make my direction regarding the statement raised by the senator for Isiolo County, I direct that the other request for the statement, that is the request from the senator for Wajir, as well as the statements that were supposed to be issued by various chairpersons under Standing Order 51, all those items I direct be deferred to tomorrow, because we have to conclude other businesses. In the meantime, honorable senators, the matter raised by the senator for Isiolo County, Senator Fatuma Dulo, is an important matter affecting the entire country. It is also a matter that is affecting one of the most important functions within the framework of devolution, namely the function of health. And for a long time, having sat in this Senate for the last 6 years, the issue of health has been troublesome across the country in terms of how it's being handled. I do recall that senators in the past Senate and the current Senate have consistently raised an issue with regard to the issue of health, and particularly the administration of the managed equipment scheme under the Ministry of Health. There have been issues of cost. And I remember at some point, this House had a very heated debate on the adjustment of costs upwards. But more importantly, as other as senators have mentioned variously this afternoon, there have been issues that perhaps many of the equipments that are lying in many hospitals, county hospitals across the country, have either not required, could be obsolete. They also have not been requisitioned, and the county governments have not been consulted whether or not they need those equipments. It is also something I've experienced as a senator. You will find equipment that have not been used for the last 2-3 years, yet the county, using the MEAG resources, is paying routinely for this equipment that is lying idle, an equipment that doesn't even have one single person who is trained to operate, an equipment that doesn't even have space for storage. And therefore, I think we have beaten around the bush for a long time. And as the chairperson of health, it is good you have admitted you are unable to deal with this issue. But it's also an indictment on you, Mr. Chairperson. It's a huge indictment to you and to your committee, but to you particularly. Because if we are here lamenting how Senate has not been able to rein in on national government in terms of making sure that the relationships that are supposed to be maintained between the national government and county governments are maintained, and devolution is respected in matters health, then the blame lies squarely on you and your committee. And as the leader of that committee, the buck stops with you. Having said that, honorable senators, we cannot keep on lamenting all the time. And I have noticed the few months I have been on this chair, there is a tendency of government functionaries to think that Parliament and the Houses of Parliament just exist as a, by the way, I direct on behalf of the Health Committee, which is supposed to be inviting this relevant government functionary, I direct the Leader of Majority on behalf of the House and on behalf of the Committee on Health to invite the Cabinet Secretary for Health on Tuesday, next week, the 27th of November, at 10 a.m. in the morning, without excuse and without failure. And I say this in full cognizance that we have seen all manner of excuses, and many of our committees really are complaining that our friends in the executive think that the legislature exists at the mercy of the other two arms of government. And therefore, in the letter by the Leader of Majority on behalf of the Committee on Health, which has been unable to handle this matter for so long, the letter should explain that the invitation is by the committee, but the same letter should explain to the Cabinet Secretary that all the senators of the Republic of Kenya will be present during that meeting. Thereafter, I will make further orders on a separate date after we have listened to the minister, on other stakeholders who needs also to explain to this House why they are silent and watching as the health sector goes to the doors. And that is the order of this House. Order senators, Leader of Majority, whips, Leader of Minority. I am told we need to vote. I'm told we have numbers, and therefore I'll only grant Mutula Kilonzo Jr. because he's normally very brief. 1 minute. What is your point of order, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.?
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the good ruling. I thought that the further order would read that the Cabinet Secretary will table before the Senate of this Republic the documents that pertain to all the contracts. That must be in the order. It's not consequential because the Cabinet Secretary can come here and give us stories. She was not told. So we tell them, come with the documents or don't come. Thank you.
Order, Senator Mutula. I direct further, following the intervention by Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., that the letter inviting the Cabinet Secretary should disclose in detail the agenda and what she is required to bring, including all the issues raised in the request for statement today by the Senator for Isiolo County. And therefore, and any other information that relates to the whole issue of, first and foremost, the managed equipment scheme, but also health generally, so that we can have a meeting that exhausts all the issues. Very well. Other senators, I have a short communication to make separately on a separate issue. I wish to inform you that the Speaker of the Senate has convened a Senate Kamukunji scheduled to be held tomorrow, Thursday, 22nd November 2018, at 10 a.m. in the Senate's chamber. The agenda for the meeting will be as listed in the circular conveyed to all senators earlier today. There was a circular circulated earlier today, and it is in connection with the issues of Parliamentary Service Commission and the medical cover of members of Parliament. I urge all honorable senators to plan to attend the crucial meeting, and I thank you. Very well. We will come back to all the other orders later. I now direct the clerk to call out order number 8. So let's go to order number 8 straight away for division.
Order number 8, the Land Value Index Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 3 of 2018, division at second reading.
Very well, we'll carry division on this matter, and thereafter we'll also proceed to order number 9 and 10, division as well. I direct that the bell be rung, the division bell be rung for 2 minutes. Very well, Senator Cheragai, please take your seat. I now direct that the doors be locked and the bars drawn. Order, senators. I put the question, which is that the Land Value Index Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2018, be read a second time. Senators, log in for voting, log in for electronic voting. Voting starts now. You have 53 seconds left. Assisted voters, please approach the table. Order, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Order, order, senators. Order. Order. Order, senators. These are the results of the division. Abstention 0, noes 0, ayes 29. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Land Act, the Land Registration Act, and the Prevention, Protection, and Assistance to Internally Displaced Persons and Affected Communities Act to provide for the assessment of land value index in respect of compulsory acquisition of land and for connected purposes.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 9, the County Allocation of Revenue Amendment Bill Senate Bills number 29 of 2018, division at second reading.
Very well. Bell can be run for 1 minute. You can symbolically open the bars, withdraw the bars. Order. I now direct the doors be locked and the bar be drawn. The senators prepare for voting. Order, senators. I put the question, which is that the County Allocation of Revenue Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 29 of 2018, be read a second time. Voting now. It's time to vote. Senator for Bomet. Thirty seconds left. Assisted voters approach the table. Order, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Order, Senator Omanga. Order. Order, Senator for Kitui. Order, Senators, these are the results of the division. Abstention, 0. No, 0. Ayes, 29. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the County Allocation of Revenue Act and for connected purposes.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 10, the Public-Private Partnerships Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 52 of 2017, division at second reading.
Order, Senators, I now put the question, which is that the Public-Private Partnership Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2017, be read a second time. Order, Senators, prepare for voting. Start to vote now. Vote now. One senator has not voted yet, and it's 5 seconds to go. End of voting. Assisted voters. Assisted voters. Make sure you have voted. Order, Senator Kaniri, is that you? Kabisa. Order, senators. These are the results of the division. Abstention, 0. Noes, 0. Ayes, 29. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Public-Private Partnership Act 2013.
Order. Now, that is the end of voting, senators. I now direct that doors be open and bars withdrawn. Order, senators. We still have other very important agenda this afternoon, including a committee of the whole. But in the meantime, in exercise of powers conferred under Standing Order 40, paragraph 3, I direct that we first deal with order number 5, and then we go to order number 11. Then after that, we go to the committee of the whole, as per the order paper. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Leader of majority.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, 21st November 2018. The report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Executive of Kilifi for the year ended 30th June 2017. The report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of County Executive of Kisii for the year ended 30th June 2017. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Leader of Majority. Now, I further direct that the notices of motion be deferred because I cannot see Senator Musuruve here and Senator Malala. So those notices of motion be deferred. So we now go to order number 11. Next order. We'll call out order number 6 just to confirm that the two senators are not here. What is it, Leader of Majority?
Mr. Speaker, since we have 29 delegations, it looks like people can wait for another 10 minutes. With your permission, under order number 1. Mr. Speaker, if we can go to order number 12 first, which is a committee of the whole of CARA, which is a financial issue. Today, when we have an assurance of the numbers, there is no amendment in the committee stage. It just passes through the committee. We vote. We release this money to go to counties. Mr. Speaker, then we can come back to the next orders. With your kind permission, and in fact, with the request of the senators here who seem to agree with my position, because we still have more than 24 senators.
Any seconder for that request by the Leader of Majority?
Leader of Minority.
Yes, thank you, Leader of Majority. Is that the mood of the House? Very well. Accordingly, clerk, call out order number 6 first.
Order number 6, notice of motion.
Senator Malala. Senator Musuruve. Both items deferred. In pursuant to the request by the Leader of Majority, supported by the Minority Leader, with the approval of the House by acclamation, I direct we dispense with order number 12, Committee of the Whole, since I understand no amendments have been canvassed. Next order.
Order number 12, Committee of the Whole on the County Allocation of Revenue Amendment, Bill, Senate Bills number 29 of 2018.
Honorable Senators, now we are in the Committee of the Whole. Clauses 2 and 3. I propose the question that clauses 2 and 3 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 2 and 3 be part of the bill. Division at the end. The title and clause 1.
The title and clause 1.
I propose the question that the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. I put the question that the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. Division at the end. Clauses without amendments. I put the question that clauses 2 and 3, the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. Division at the end. Division. Ring the bell for 1 minute. Close the doors and draw the bars. Honorable Senators, make sure that you have logged in. Honorable Senators, I now put the question that clauses 2 and 3, the title and clause 1, be part of the bill. Honorable Senators, vote now. Honorable Senators, I now announce the results of the division. Ayes 26, nays 0, abstention 0. Therefore, ayes have it. Mover.
I'll do it here. Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the Senate its consideration of the County Allocation Revenue Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 29 of 2018, and its approval thereof without amendments.
Honorable Senators, I will put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the County Allocation of Revenue Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 29 of 2018, and its approval thereof without amendments. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Order, Senators. Chairperson, to report.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the County Allocation of Revenue Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 29 of 2018, and its approval thereof without amendments.
Mover.
Yes, I'm here. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee and the said report, and ask Senator Murkomen to second.
Order, Senators. I will propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee on the said report. Order, Senators, I will put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many of that opinion say aye. As many of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the County Allocation Revenue Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 29 of 2018, be now read a third time, and ask Honorable Senator Murkomen to second.
So, Speaker, I second.
Order, Senators, I will propose the question, which is that the County Allocation of Revenue Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 29 of 2018, be now read a second time. At that time. I will put the question, which is that the County Allocation of Revenue Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 29 of 2018, be now read a third time. Subdivision. Vote now. Senators, vote now. Order, Senators, these are the results of the division. Abstention 0, no 0, ayes 26, the ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the County Allocation of Revenue Act and for connected purposes.
I direct that the doors be open and the bars withdrawn. Very well, we now go to order number 11, which is a procedural motion, and then we'll proceed accordingly as per the order paper. Call out the order.
Order number 11, motion, approval of senator to serve in select committees.
Majority Leader.
The Speaker, I beg to move the motion that pursuant to Standing Order 187 and 189, the House approves the nomination of Senator George Ochilo Ayako Mbogo, EGH, MP, to serve in the following select committee of the Senate. A, the Committee of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, and B, Committee of National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity and Regional Integration. Speaker, as you may very well, you are aware, Senator George Ochilo Ayako, otherwise known as also Mbogo, the Speaker, very...
Is that an alliance?
It's not an alliance, the Speaker. It's just that it's not very usual for people from the region where he comes from. It's not always common, Mr. Speaker, that the name Ochilo would go with Mbogo. But Mr. Speaker, I saw in the by-election that led to his election, Mr. Speaker, that him and his competitor were, apart from just having names that are from the Luo community, Mr. Speaker, they had also names that are attributed to the people of Central Province, the Kikuyus. And so it's a beautiful country. In fact, yesterday I saw a child that's called, who was among the top students in the country, called Ocheng Kipchumba. And Mr. Speaker, I think this country is changing. People are, and it had changed for a long period of time, because by the age of Ochilo Ayako, to have his name, Mr. Speaker, there are people who have a foresight to accept different cultural, Mr. Speaker, names, and willing to work with the rest of the country in terms of uniting this nation. So I can definitely say that building bridges, Senator Ochilo Ayako had started building bridges from birth, Mr. Speaker, or maybe the parents. And Senator Ayako is a friend of mine, a person I know. He's a senior to me in the legal profession, though not at the level of Senator Orengo, somewhere in the middle. He's not a senior counsel like Senator Orengo, Senator Emeritus Amos Wako, and the Senator of Nyamira.
Order. Did you say Senator Emeritus?
Yes, yes, Mr.
Because
Speaker.
the implication is grave.
No, I said, Mr. Speaker, Senator Amos Wako, otherwise known as Elias, Mr. Speaker, Attorney General Emeritus.
That's clear.
Yeah,
that is clear.
Mr. Speaker. And Senator Ogonga Omogeni, Mr. Speaker, who are senior counsels, but Senator Ochilo Ayako is somewhere in the middle in the legal profession between them and ourselves. And I had the privilege, Mr. Speaker, Senator Ochilo Ayako went to school, properly so speaking, because I have met some of his classmates. He was a student at the University of Nairobi, and while he was there, he was an active in student leadership, though he didn't rise to the level that Senator Orengo did as a SONU chair. But Mr. Speaker, he was somewhere in the middle there, supporting student leadership activities. And Mr. Speaker, beside that, Senator Ochilo Ayako also did his Masters of Law degree at the University of Nairobi, where, Mr. Speaker, yours truly had the privilege of having him as a student in this class. And I can attest, Mr. Speaker, that he was a very, very bright student who got an A, and Mr. Speaker, in international trade law. And so, Mr. Speaker, he's a diligent man. He speaks with a very soft voice, but he is a man with a lot of conviction in his heart. And I believe that when he goes to this Committee of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity and Regional Integration, he will use that energy to invigorate these committees and assist these committees perform and discharge their responsibilities together with the leadership and the members of that committee. Mr. Speaker, insofar as national cohesion, Mr. Speaker, we want to see this committee working, Mr. Speaker, the same direction with the committee that is headed by Senator Amos Wako and Senator Haji, that is, whose responsibility, Mr. Speaker, is to build bridges. Bridges, Mr. Speaker, to the, Mr. Speaker, the proverbial Canaan. And Mr. Speaker, I say so because I had a conversation with Senator Orengo about the Canaan that is in the Bible and the Canaan which is proverbial, Mr. Speaker. In the biblical Canaan, in Joshua chapter 3, 2 and 3, there were no bridges and there were no crocodiles. But Mr. Speaker, in the imaginative Canaan, Mr. Speaker, that we have to build a bridge and there are crocodiles. So, according to Senator Orengo. So, I hope in the committee of national cohesion, equal opportunity, and regional integration, Senator Ochilo Ayako will make his contributions towards making Kenya a better place to live in, and Mr. Speaker, to provide guidance and leadership to this House in engaging that important committee. And I'm very happy that every time this country, since the invention of the Senate, every time this nation has wanted to do something that is monumentous, it has always resorted to the leadership of the Senate. When we wanted to change the election laws, Mr. Speaker, it was Senator Orengo and Senator Kiraitu Murungi then, Mr. Speaker, who provided leadership, and yours truly was a member. When this country wanted to build bridges, it's Senator Amos Wako and Senator Haji who provided leadership. And I have no doubt that, Mr. Speaker, going forward, members of this House, being respected legislators in this republic, and having the capacity, Mr. Speaker, to provide leadership in various sectors, including Senator Ochilo Ayako, will play an integral and important role in taking this country forward, Mr. Speaker, in matters of integration, but also in the sector of agriculture, to work with the Committee of Agriculture to ensure that agriculture, which is, apart from health, the most devolved function, Mr. Speaker, becomes a sector that is also enviable in this country, particularly at a time when we are talking about issues maize, issues sugar, coffee, and all those issues. Mr. Speaker, I hope the committee can work tirelessly with the select committee we put in place to come with solutions. I am glad that in the Senate, both in the minority and majority side, this House has never been a house of lamentations. It's a house of solutions. People raise issues and suggest solutions, and senators take initiative to become part of the solution. That's why Senator Wetangula and Senator, Mr. Speaker, Kamara are providing leadership in the maize issue. And Mr. Speaker, I believe that in the other sectors, the Agriculture Committee now should seize the opportunity to provide leadership, because while others are writing lamentations of 21st century, Madam Speaker, we cannot in the Senate be persons who will be crybabies. We are solution givers, and we are leaders, and we are part of the solution. Madam Speaker, I beg to move and ask the Senate Minority Leader to second.
Madam Speaker, since this is a procedural motion, I'll not take a lot of time, but I support the motion, and allow me to use the instrumentality of this motion to congratulate Senator Ochilo Ayako. And as been said, Senator Ochilo Ayako is a man with a rare CV, he's a lawyer, has done a master's degree, and has been a member of parliament. He's not coming to this parliament as a new member, as it were, because he had served several times in the National Assembly. And if you go back to the elections after the elections in 2002, Senator Ochilo Ayako was one of the people who played a very important role to provide a forum to enable the government at that time, which brought the country together, to at least set a working committee between the various formations within NAC at the time. And I think no less a person than President Kibaki had occasion to talk to me at one time about what Senator Ochilo Ayako and others did to bring that team together before and after the elections in the year 2002. So I am sure that it's going to play that role effectively in the two committees. Let me assure the leader of the majority that crocodiles are not everywhere. And certainly during the election in Migori, if anybody had any doubt that the handshake was working, Jubilee did not offer a candidate in Migori. And some of the Jubilee members of parliament, including Senator Sakaja, went to Migori to campaign for Senator Ochilo Ayako. I'm just hoping that in the process of building bridges, they may also decide not to offer a candidate in the year 2022. Let that continue to be the order of the day. I also want to inform my friend, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, leader of majority, that there are some names which are common from a long time ago. I think our people were doing wonderful things before we started to divide ourselves in terms of the ethnicity. There used to be a lady in this city who was very powerful. In fact, he caused Mwai Kibaki to migrate to Odaya, and her name was Jael Mbogo. You know, that name, in fact, right now, a lot of people would consider it a Nilotic name. And the other names like Ngala, where, you know, from the coast, from Ukambani, and also there was a member of parliament at one time from Homa Bay by the name Ngala. But I hope that, as has been said here, and the Attorney General Emeritus is here, that we are hoping that don't take too long building these bridges. By the June, we are hoping that the way forward and structures would be in place to make sure that the peace that we have today continues up to the year 2022. Otherwise, I do not have anything else to say, but I want to congratulate the Senate, the way we have come together in this particular matter, the motion, just like we came together when we lost our friend, the late Ben Okello, and then got together to make sure that Ochilo Ayako got elected as the senator for Migori. I beg to second, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I put the question that pursuant to standing orders 187 and 189, the House approves the nomination of Senator George Ochilo Ayako Mbogo, EGH, MP, to serve in the following select committees of the Senate. A, Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. B, Committee on National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity and Regional Integration. Senator Cherargei. No, I cannot put the question. There are interests. Senator Mugeni Eric Okongo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate my good friend, my learned friend, Mr. Ochilo Ayako, for his nomination to serve in these select committees. Madam Speaker, I've known Mr. Ochilo Ayako for many years. We were students together at the University of Nairobi, and I succeeded him as the treasurer of the students of University of Nairobi. So I know he's a man with immense leadership capabilities. And I was very happy when he joined politics and he became an MP ahead of some of us. And it's good to see that the people of Migori have shown confidence in him by electing him as the senator of our neighboring county of Migori. I do congratulate him and I wish him well as he serves in these two committees. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Very well, Senator Wako.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to speak on the nomination of Ochilo Ayako, otherwise known as George Mbogo, to these two important committees. When the leader of majority was speaking and he was referring to the names, Kipchumba and another name, which when I saw that on TV yesterday, I said, yeah, he may be the son of so-and-so called Kipchumba Murkomen, and that's why he has done very well, if he's like his father. Madam Madam Speaker, I knew Ochilo because we both served in the cabinet at one time. I initially wondered why such a young person had been appointed to the cabinet, but working with him in the cabinet, I knew why. He was very competent, very mastered his subject, was able to negotiate issues even at international level, and in particular on one memorable journey we made, both of us, to the United States of America. The Committee on Fisheries, on Agriculture, will also deal with fisheries, and no doubt Migori County. And I don't know the geography very well, but I think Ndiwa constituency has some beaches and does some fishing. So I've no doubt that even him as a senator would be interested in the development of fisheries in this country. What is not very well known is that the Committee on National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity, and Regional Integration deals with many issues. Of course, as much as it deals with national cohesion, I look forward to working with that commission and relying on him to help us integrate this country, make recommendations in our advisory capacity on Kenya under the Building Bridges Initiative for Unity. But the committee does much more than that. The committee, if you look at the mandate, also covers regional integration. And by regional integration, they refer particularly and specifically to the East African Legislative Assembly and the Pan-African Parliament. Madam Speaker, I know that his experience as a minister in government will put him in a very good stead when it comes to matters of the East African community, and in particular, the East African Parliament. We are now at a stage, Mr. Speaker, where we feel that the countries of East Africa should move closer on issues of integration, be they political, economic, or social. And as you move closer, many problems do arise and so on. And so we shall rely on him and on this committee to guide the Senate on these matters. I'm particularly passionate on these issues, Mr. Speaker, sir, because I believe that the Senate has not played its role effectively on issues of East Africa integration. The National Assembly had a specific committee which deals with this, and therefore they were very active when it came to regional matters. But the Senate did not quite put enough emphasis on the issues relating to the East African community. I think because before that, this particular docket was under the Committee on National Security and Foreign Relations. And national security alone can consume a lot of attention of the committee. And no wonder that under our current rules, standing orders, we moved that docket to this particular committee. So I look forward to the committee playing its role in guiding the Senate to take its rightful role on issues of the East African integration. I welcome him and I wish him all the best.
Senator Outa Frederick Otieno.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to join my colleagues in congratulating the Senator Ochilo Ayako for his nomination to these two important select committees. Madam Speaker, Honorable Ochilo Ayako is a very soft-spoken man. And over the years, I know him as a very straightforward person with a wealth of knowledge in guiding where there is conflicts. He comes in handy. And that's why I personally want to welcome him in our Committee of the National Cohesion, because at this juncture, Madam Speaker, after the handshake, we, all Kenyans, want to live together. And I truly believe that Senator Ochila Yako will be able to bring an incentive to our committee so that we can support the initiatives that have been started by the two heroes in this Republic of Kenya, and that is His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta and the People's President, Raila Amolo Odinga. And I know that we will continue to build bridges. As much as I know our majority leader talks of crocodiles, this time around, we will be able to put more nuts in the bridges that we started building so that we will be able to sail through at the end of this term. And that is only when we unite our people together. We expect the Honorable Chila Yako to be able to join our Committee of the National Cohesion so that we can enhance even the work of building bridges initiative, where the Senator Amos Wako and our chair of the National Security are in, so that we can go across the country across the county to be able to unite all our people together. Ochila Yako is a man of his words, and I truly believe that as he serves, even in the Committee of Agriculture, he'll be able to look into the matters of sugarcane in his area. The production of sugarcane has dwindled, and many of our farmers are still wallowing in poverty. And I truly believe with this knowledge, where he has served as a cabinet minister, he'll be able to guide this committee to find a long-lasting solution for the farmers of his county, Migori, and not only Migori, and in the entire Kenya, and especially sugarcane growing areas like Nyando Sugar Belt, Mumias, and others across the country. So, Madam Speaker, I want to join all our colleagues in welcoming the Senator Ochila Yako, a man of few words, and he means well for this Republic of Kenya.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Masitsa Naomi Sionga.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this time, this opportunity to join my colleagues in congratulating the nomination of Senator Achilo Ayako in the two committees. And I will speak on the Agriculture Committee. I belong to Agriculture Committee and I'm a member there. And I think for Senator Achilo Ayako joining us in that committee, we are privileged because we know the contributions that is going to add on the Agriculture Committee, which deals with, again, livestock and fisheries. He will really help us spearhead most of the concerns, especially when it comes to fisheries and any matters that appertain that committee. Madam Speaker, I will never go without commending on Senator Achila Ayako's voice. When I used to hear the voice of Senator Achila Ayako, it was soft. Soft. And a voice that actually you could listen twice. And when that voice joined this house, I was keen to know who was behind the voice. And indeed, it is good that all that is going to contribute It is not about the voice, but he's going to be soft in the contributions and what is going to mean and meaning well to the two committees. Madam Speaker, I know people are very keen to hear the next statement I'm going to say, but I'm saying that I welcome Senator Achila Ayako to the committee, the two committees, and feel welcomed, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Finally, Senator Judith Parenu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to again congratulate the Senator Achilo Ayako and the mover for moving this motion and for allowing him to sit, for this House to allow him to sit in these committees. But specifically, Madam Speaker, I go ahead to welcome him to the National Cohesion and Regional Integration Committee, where I sit. And Madam Speaker, this is a bit significant because at the time Senator Ochilo Ayako was elected and then sworn in this House, this was the time that we really were trying to show how much cohesiveness we needed in this country, pursuant to the handshake that came into being, Madam Speaker. So it is symbolic that he came in, and because of that cohesiveness that was sweeping this country after we had had a lot of issues, after we had had a lot of resisting, he came in at the time when we needed to show that unity of purpose as a country. And I want to say that his election gave us an opportunity as a country to show that we are serious in this handshake, to show that we are serious in being together as a nation, to show that we are serious to move forward together. And at the end of the day, that is why our counterparts did not even fill in a candidate. At the end of the day, that is when they went out to campaign for him. It was symbolic, Madam Speaker. So I want to say that his coming in ushered in that cohesiveness, and it is even more important that he has now been brought in to sit in the National Cohesion and Integration Committee, and I welcome my brother, and I'm sure he will be a person of reason. I have severally said that he's a person who has shown leadership in a lot of areas, inclusive in our party activities, and being a lawyer, I have just confirmed that he was about 2 classes ahead of me. Being a senior lawyer, I am sure he will be of very much use to this Senate and the committees that he's going to serve. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senators, finally, Senator for Migori. Senator Ochilo Ayako.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank my colleagues and specifically this August House for the good words that they have spoken in my support. I want to express my gratitude to the majority leader for this motion and the support, and also for his support when I was vying for the seat in Migori. He was very supportive, both in word and deed. I will not mention what he did for me, but he's always been supportive. I confirm that when I was at the university for masters, he indeed taught us very well international trade law, and he was a good professor. Madam Speaker, I come from a county where integration and cohesion is needed. We have institutions of government, that is the office of the governor, and the office of the senator and the county assembly, and we are in perennial and this wonderful committee of cohesion and integration will go a long way in serving its purpose in my county. I also want to say that I come from an agrarian county where we grow sugarcane, tobacco, and other crops. We also have fish that are born in Kenya and grow up in Tanzania and Uganda and need to be integrated. So these two committees will be useful both to me as a person and I believe to this wonderful House. Having said that, I want to assure the distinguished members of the Senate that I will offer my service or my services to these committees selflessly and with a lot of passion, and I hope that I will be useful to the members of the committee. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
As the majority leader? To reply, yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank all the senators for making fantastic contributions to this very important motion. And I want to wish Senator Ayako the very best as he serves the country in the two committees. I look forward to the partnership of this House in supporting these committees to succeed. I beg to reply.
Honorable Senator, since this motion does not affect the counties, I now put the question that pursuant to standing orders 187 and 189, the House approves the nomination of Senator George Ochilo Ayako Mbogo, EGH, MP, to serve in the following select committees of the Senate. A, Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. 2, Committee on National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity and Regional Integration. May as many as of the opinion say aye. And those of contrary opinion say nay. Next, the ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 12, Order number 13, Committee of the Whole. The Urban Areas and Cities Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2017.
Deferred. Next order.
Order number 14, Committee of the Whole. The Retirement Benefits, Deputy President and Designated State Officers Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 2 of 2018.
That one is also deferred. Next order.
Order number 15, Committee of the Whole. The County Governments Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 13 of 2018.
Honorable Senators, we are now proceeding to the Committee of the Whole on the County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2018.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that Clause 2 be part of the bill. Chairperson, Standing Committee, Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations.
Madam Speaker, thank you. I beg to move that Clause 2 be amended. One second, this is the first time I'm using this device. Oops.
retirement, urban cities. Got it. That clause 2, that the bill be amended by deleting clause 2 and substituting therefore the following new clause. Section 58 of County Government Act is amended by 1, deleting paragraph C and substituting therefore with the following new paragraph. That the secretary to the board who shall be nominated and appointed by the governor with the approval of the county assembly. 2, and therefore inserting the following new subsections immediately after subsection 1. 1A, that the secretary to the board shall be an ex officio member of the board and shall have no right to vote at any meeting of the board. In nominating or appointing a person as a member of the board, the governor shall A, observe the principles of gender equity, ethnic and other diversities of the people of Kenya, and shall provide an equal opportunity for persons with disabilities, and 2B, take into account the national values and principles set out in Article 10, 27, and 232 of the Constitution.
I propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. I put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed, division at the end.
The title and clause 1.
I propose the question that the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. I put the question that the title and clause 1 be part of the bill, division at the end.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move.
Honorable Senator, I was going to call you in, so you may now move.
Apologies, Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 142, I beg to move that the Committee of the Whole reports progress on this consideration of County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2018, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow.
I will put the question, which is that the Committee of the Whole do report progress on its consideration of the County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2018, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow. As many as of that opinion say aye. As many of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Speaker.
The chairperson to report.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Speaker, I beg to report progress that the Committee of the Whole has considered the County Government Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2018, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow.
The mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report.
Second. Second. To be seconded. To be seconded.
I request Senator Mary Senator to second.
Madam Speaker, I second.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee on the said report. I put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee on the said report. May as many as are of the opinion say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 16, Committee of the Whole, the Care and Protection of Older Members of Society Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2018.
That order is, that motion is deferred. Next order.
Order number 17, the Treaty Making and Ratification Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 23 of 2018, second reading.
Senator Zani Philomena.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to contribute, but I think as we stopped yesterday, at 6:30, the question had not been put. The motion, the bill had been, I think, proposed and seconded, but the question had not been put. So maybe we need to put the question and then we start contributing, and I'd be happy to continue to contribute then. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, let me put the question. I propose the question, the treaty making and ratification amendment bill, Senate Bills number 23 of 2018 be now read a second time. That's it. Senator Zani Agnes Philomena.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to support this very important amendment to the Treaty Making and Ratification Bill of now this amendment of 2018. The original bill actually is the Treaty Making and Ratification Act. So this is what is being amended, 2012, number 45 of 2012. And from the onset, treaty making and treaty ratification is very, very important. Madam Speaker, we exist in an international community, so we know many times we have international laws that come to the country, of which, for example, we are a part of. For example, laws like from our organizations like CEDAW, but we have or UN, for example, but we also have the international laws. Now, the Constitution 2010 was very, very clear, and it has various provisions for ratifying these treaties within our context. In fact, in the Constitution, Article 2.6 gives the effect for Parliament to be able to enact this ratification. Not, Madam Speaker, it says Parliament. It does not say National Assembly. It does not say Senate separately. It actually says Parliament, alluding to both the National Assembly and the Senate. But now when it comes to the actual act itself, and when you read through the act, Madam Speaker, it's very, very clear that the provision for ratification of this particular very, very important treaties, and why are these important, why are these treaties important? At both levels, may they be multilateral or bilateral treaties, they address very, very important things. It might be an addressing of maybe issues of security, for example, in Kenya. Might be addressing about sovereignty. It might be issues of independence of the country. It might be about the rights and duties of Kenyans. It might have to do with relationships between Kenya and any other international organization. It might have to do with environment and natural resources. And Madam Speaker, we are very cognizant that in the Senate, we address matters touching on counties. So clearly, almost all these issues actually happen within a county context where the Senate is fully contextualized to make its specific contribution. In consideration of the treaties, when this is done within the National Assembly, there is a consideration that is done at various levels, at the committee level.
Hostage by the senator shall not hold the National Assembly hostage, neither will the National Assembly hold the Senate hostage, because the processes in themselves are spelling out what should happen if one were to delay, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I like this. It allows us to implement our constitution, and it allows us to speak for the people. It even allows us to have a say in what treaties we are going to get into and which ones we are not going to get into, Madam Speaker. So I support.
Senator George Ochilo Ayako.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to make a few remarks in respect of this very important bill. Madam Speaker, it is important to appreciate the primacy of our Constitution. The Constitution is a supreme document that binds all. It binds all institutions. It binds all citizens. And it is the basis upon which mandate is exercised. Madam Speaker, it is clear that any time there is mention of the word parliament, that gives or lends credence to the inference that parliament means the National Assembly and the Senate. And any attempt at excluding Senate from the meaning of the National Assembly, for those who are vigilant or loyal or committed to constitutionalism, it is an affront. So, Madam Speaker, this is a bill that intends to make us a stickler to the Constitution. It is a bill that intends to make the exercise of ratification of treaties or treaty making comply with the spirit of the Constitution, which requires that both houses ventilate or speak to the subject of the treaty that should be ratified. Mr. Speaker, before I joined this House, I've read in one place or other, or I've listened to people talking about quarrels between the two chambers. These are issues that shouldn't arise. These are issues that the makers of our 2010 Constitution and ourselves should understand that should proceed in harmony. So I am happy that at long last, in the context of treaty making and ratification, there is recognition of the role of Senate, and it is important that interests of counties, it's important that interests of county governments and people who may be affected by those treaties are captured, and there is opportunity to discuss those matters at or inside the chambers of Senate. So I believe that this is the right way to go, even if it did not provide for mechanisms of expediting the processes before either chamber. It is important that we, as a Senate, look at treaties because they will affect counties. If you look at the Federalist Papers, the genesis of the existence of Senates the world over, you will find that in the Federalist Papers, it was stated that there was a need to have an upper house because legislation that emanated from the lower house was generally hot and made in haste. So there was need to have an upper house. The same way when you have a tea that is very hot, you need to have a saucer so that you can cool the tea in the saucer so that it does not scald or burn your mouth. So it is important as a country that we do not rush processes of treaty ratification. I know that globalization is with us, and ratification of treaties is how to actualize and benefit from acts of globalization. But again, bills or treaties that emanate from the lower houses may come expeditiously and may not have received what we call a sober consideration. So it is important to give them a second shot. It is important to look at them in a revised and calm fashion, the way we look at things in this house, so that ultimately members of the public benefit immensely from the wealth of experience that we have in this house. Madam Speaker, you know that in this house we have several senior counsels. In this house we have Attorney General Emeritus. In this house we have Senior Counsel Moses Wetangula. So a treaty that would be injurious or harmful to this country will not escape the vigilance or the hawk eye of the senators who sit in this house. And I think for good measure, we need to have it in our legislation. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to support.
Senator Wetangula Moses.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was in fact going away, then I heard on radio this bill coming on. I had to run back to speak to it. Because, Madam Speaker, this is one bill that this House must pass to reclaim its position under the Constitution. I say so, Madam Speaker, because I've been in the Committee of Defense and Foreign Relations that has been working on this bill since the last Parliament. Madam Speaker, the Constitution provides very clearly that any treaty signed by the Republic of Kenya, and in which case it will be either the minister responsible for foreign affairs or any designated minister, shall not become applicable as law, because the Constitution says treaties and international instruments signed become part of our law, shall not become part of our law unless it's ratified by Parliament, not the National Assembly. And Madam Speaker, in the last Parliament, there was a crude attempt by the National Assembly to amend the Constitution and edit out the Senate from treaty ratification, so that treaties entered into by the Republic of Kenya end up in the National Assembly to take legal effect, and the Senate is cut out. This mischievous amendment, Madam Speaker, we protested very loudly and vehemently to the National Assembly, but they completely ignored us. And in the process, that amendment to the Treaties Act was sneaked to the President and ascended to. And this brings me, Madam Speaker, to the point that we have been saying, that Article 110(3) of the Constitution, and I've seen a bill drafted, I think, by Mutula Kilonzo or somebody, must be operationalized by a simple act of Parliament that will take us to the process that Amos Wako's Attorney General used to go through. Amos Wako started serving this country in the single-party era. And he moved with a very conscious operational structure where no bill was taken to the president for assent without the volumes that are necessary having been put in place with necessary signatures to show from the speaker and everybody else that it reflects what went on in the House. I remember going to Amos Wako's office once, and he was actually reading the Hansard to see whether what is now published in the bill is a reflection of the proceedings of the House. Today, Madam Speaker, Article 110.3 that says before any bill, not some bills, any bill is introduced in any house, it must be placed before the two speakers of both houses for concurrence on whether it affects counties or not. The Supreme Court has told us in our advice or reference that they cannot envisage any bill that does not concern counties. Whether it's a budgetary matter, it's about counties. Whether it's defense, it's about counties. Whether it is agriculture, it's about counties. Whatever you can think of, the theater of operation of every issue in this country is in counties. So in fact, there isn't any bill, whether it's a money bill or not, that doesn't concern counties. Because when we collect taxes, we collect them in counties. When we expend taxes, we expend them in counties. And then, Madam Speaker, that's why this bill is very critical. Because Adan Duale and his group edited the Senate out of treaty making and now amended the law to read that no treaty shall become or enjoy a force of law without ratification by the National Assembly. The language that is not in the Constitution. And by passing this bill here, Madam Speaker, we are simply rolling back and restoring the constitutional position that the Constitution gave authority to this House. Because Parliament is not Parliament without both houses, the Senate and the National Assembly. And as a matter of fact, the Senate is the upper house, the house of revision, the house of reference, where bills from the National Assembly ought to come to this House. Madam Speaker, all of us travel out there to comparable jurisdictions. And you go to Australia, you go to England, wherever. And people laugh to hear that a National Assembly has veto powers over bills from the Senate. People laugh to hear that bills go to the National Assembly and never end up in the Senate. There is nothing, Madam Speaker, in this country that doesn't concern counties. In fact, I've been arguing, and I will continue arguing, Madam Speaker, that we must relook at our Constitution, even revenue sharing, as we correct these imbalances and erratic changes in the law, that revenue sharing must be changed. And this is where Amos Wako and his team went wrong. We cannot share revenue on account of historical figures based on audits, knowing that Parliament either deliberately or because of incapacity is unable to keep abreast with audits. So right now, we are bringing to this floor, even as the Senate, audit reports of 2012, of 2013, 2014. So we are what we call being morticians, carrying out postmortems on dead bodies instead of helping the living live. And this we must stop. Because, Madam Speaker, if we don't do this, we'll continue cheating counties. You have a budget of 3 trillion. You are sharing out to counties 970 billion. And you say this is the revenue available for sharing. In Nigeria, revenue sharing is based on every current budget. And 52% of the current budget goes to devolved units, and 48% is left with the national government. But back to this bill, Madam Speaker, I want to urge this House to pass it because this House is reclaiming its constitutional position in treaty making. And where we have said, Madam Speaker, that every treaty becomes law, if the Senate, as the defender, protector of counties, their governments, and their interests, does not get involved, you will find, Madam Speaker, somebody sitting in the national government signing a treaty giving away Lamu Port, or giving away Mombasa Port, or giving away our highways, or giving away our oil, without us getting involved. We must defend our territory. Like Justice C.B. Madan used to say, jurisdiction is not given, it's grabbed. And this House must grab back our jurisdiction and look for even more jurisdiction and reclaim the internationally acclaimed position that every Senate, wherever it lies, is the upper house, and the National Assembly or a house of its equivalent is the lower house, and things always move. Like we say in science, hot air rises, it doesn't go down. Thank you, Madam Speaker, I support.
Senator Wako Amos.
Thank you very much. I'll be very brief. As Senator Wetangula has said, and others have said, this bill is for us to reclaim our position in the Constitution. And there's no greater place for us to reclaim this than those places where the National Assembly, you may recall, passed many laws, even touching on the counties, and those laws went through third reading, went to the president, he signed them, and they became law. And it took this Senate a lot of meetings and so on to bring up comprehensive amendments to those laws to make them legal. And one of those areas is the area of treaties. I would have lectured quite a bit on the treaties, some which are self-executing. There's no need for ratification, they are there, but some which need ratification. But under our new constitution now, every treaty requires ratification through Parliament, because under Article 26, treaties are part of the law of the land. And under the Article 92, it is Parliament which makes the laws of the land. Madam Speaker, the international relationship has now reached a level where a number of treaties actually touch on the functions which have been conferred on the county. Whether you talk about agriculture, it's a devolved function. We have the Food and Agricultural Organization in Rome. Whether you're talking about the health services, it's a devolved function. We have the WHO in Geneva. Whether you're talking about air pollution and so on, which is a devolved function, by the way, under Party 2, County Government 3 is the county government controls air pollution, blah, blah, blah. It is a control, it's a devolved function, and we have UNEP here on an environment. And in fact, on environment, the Constitution goes further and says, even where the national government has done something on natural resources and environment, under Article 10, it also becomes the responsibility of the county government to implement that. So, Madam Speaker, sir, laws passed, treaties entered into in these areas have to come here so that we see whether or not they touch on the functions of the county, which is our basic concern. Madam Speaker, the Supreme Court ruled, in effect, just conclude, that although the Constitution says that we are concerned with the legislation which touch and concern counties, they could think of no area of activity of the national government which does not touch on the county, and therefore which is not a legitimate concern of the Senate. The Supreme Court even went further and said, even say national security, which under the Constitution is a preserve of the national government, nevertheless, that issue also touches and concerns the county governments, and it's a legitimate concern of the county governments. And therefore, really, at the end of the day, the Supreme Court was ruling that any law which goes to the National Assembly should also come to the Senate for approval. And that's why we are now saying this bill is so important, because we are now recapturing the authority which is ours under the Constitution to be involved in this very important area of international law, making treaties. Even one can say human rights treaties which touch on fundamental freedoms. Even treaties which touch on economic, social, and cultural activities are treaties which actually concern the counties, and therefore also concern the people of this country, concern counties, and therefore are a legitimate concern of us. And therefore this law should be passed very, very, very urgently, so that we begin looking at this. Earlier on today in this August Assembly, I talked about the East African integration. Those are being passed in Arusha, and they don't come to us. They just go to the National Assembly, and they comment on it, and it goes back to Arusha. Those laws, which must from the National Assembly, come to us for us also to approve. So this is one way of reclaiming our lost authority, and I would recommend that we pass it unanimously. With those few remarks, I support.